Hello and welcome to another Royal Reviewer live pop-up chat. My goodness, what a few days it has been, and let me just start by saying I did make a correction in my previous video that I made. It was understood at the time of making that video that the Sandringham Summit, as it has become well known as, was going to take place on Sunday, but that didn't happen. Prince Charles actually had to go to Oman, and obviously now the Sandringham Summit is currently underway. It is currently underway right now, right as we speak at Sandringham. So for those of you who were a little bit alarmed that Prince Charles might not have made it back in time, it was only a fleeting visit to pay his respects. And he is back. He is back in the UK. He is at Sandringham. So we have the Queen herself in person. We have Charles. We have William, and we have, of course, Prince Harry. Now, we don't know in terms of if Meghan is going to be on the phone, via video link, via Skype. I've heard reports of all kinds of different scenarios regarding what involvement or how Meghan will be involved in these talks. I've heard reports from her being there on Skype, literally like sat in a chair, but on Skype. I've heard reports that Harry may have to leave occasionally to go and speak to her on the phone. Let's just say we don't know at this stage how Meghan is going to be involved, but we do know that Harry is there on the ground at this so-called Sandringham Summit. We have seen visible signs of senior royals at Sandringham. We have seen the Queen driving about. The Queen, I think, has been she's made sure that she has been seen to be present. She has been seen driving around the estate. I think she wanted to be seen as being firmly in control of her family, of the monarchy, as it should be. We have seen Prince Philip. Now, we don't think that Prince Philip is going to be involved actually physically in the Sandringham Summit as it has become known. Although obviously I'm sure, he has been talking about this with the Queen, but he has actually been seen leaving Sandringham, the main Sandringham house. Of course, he stays on the estate. He stays in his own little kind of like private retirement farmhouse called Wood Farm. So he has returned from the main house to Wood Farm. It is obviously believed that that's where he was going to, whilst the Queen is dealing with what is going on. Now, before I go any further, I am going to go straight to the chat room and see who is there. Hello, I hope you've all had a really wonderful and an amazing day. Let's just see what's going on. We also have had today the breaking of silence, as it has become known. So William and Harry have actually broached this allegation that was in a newspaper of bullying. Now the story, the main kind of drift of the story was that William has been bullying Harry out of the monarchy. They have jointly released a statement which I just posted in a video before I went live, where both brothers have categorically denied that this is the case. So I would like to point that out too. Right, let me just turn straight away to the chat room. Hello to everyone who has made it live. Betsy says the statements by the brothers today was vague. Could you elaborate on what it meant? You are not going to get an in-depth, detailed discussion, but it was a joint statement at a time when their minds are literally on other things. I mean, they have a lot on their plate at the moment. I will read it again, just for people right now. So it's a very short, brief statement, and it said, despite clear denials. So I would imagine that obviously the press, other members of the press have gone to the palace and said, please can you comment on this story? Now, for the majority of the time, the palace all royals and the palace do not necessarily comment on speculative stories, but in the breadth of what's going on, they must have issued a denial, because in the statement it says, despite clear denials, a false story. I mean, there's nothing vague about that. a false story ran in a UK newspaper today speculating about the relationship between the Duke of Sussex and the Duke of Cambridge. For brothers who care so deeply about the issues surrounding mental health, the use of inflammatory language in this way is offensive and potentially harmful. So, they have said that that is a false story. I don't know what's vague about it. It's a short statement. It's short. It's to the point. It's at a time when there is a lot going on. But in my mind, that isn't vague. They have categorically denied that that story is true, and that has come from both of them. Where's my tiara? Oh my goodness! I didn't have time to put it on. Oh my goodness. Hello to everyone from wherever you are in the world right now. I mean, we don't have any, ongoing live updates about the Sandringham summit, but we do know that it is going on right now. The Queen actually has an engagement later on today. I think it's around about 5 o'clock. It's some kind of engagement to do with her staff. So yes, she wants this done. She wants this done, over with, sorted as soon as possible. So we have I would say another couple of hours, maybe. Whether we will get information leaking, whether we will get any information presented formally tonight or maybe tomorrow, I don't know. But hopefully this will be sorted. Anne RC says, hello, American here. Hello. But lived in Europe many years ago and visited often. I so feel for England and Her Royal Highness. Maybe you mean Meghan, maybe you mean the Queen. I don't know. Anyway, it's Her Majesty the Queen. Meghan certainly didn't surprise me. So ashamed. Meghan is from the USA. Everyone has got their own views, comments. I mean, I know, this has been titled lots of different things by the press. It's been referred to as, which I don't really like the term, but it's been referred to as Megxit and loads of different things going on. Everyone is going to have their own opinions about who is the main character behind who and what. But this is joint. It's a joint. It was always a joint statement of intent by Harry and Meghan. It's not just Meghan. Harry's name is there too. It's Harry and Meghan. So regardless of whether people have personal opinions over who did this, who did that, who's behind it, we have to look at actually what is there, in front of us. And this was a joint endeavour by their Royal Highnesses, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. It was both of them, regardless of what people may individually think and feel. Amanda rightly says nobody knows how the talks will unfold until later. They will all have their own agendas. They will all have their own wants. I mean, usually, as we know with negotiations, you kind of set your aims high, and then you sometimes, you often kind of meet with something that's agreeable for both parties in the middle. Make no mistakes about it. I have thought right from the start of this chapter that the monarchy is going to try and self-preserve. It's going to try and protect itself, and I think that's the angle that the Queen, Prince William and Charles will be going from. However, I also think they are going to be very mindful of Harry and Meghan's emotions, and also their wants that they have kind of set out in their statement of intent. Their statement of intent, I am calling what was on their website, because obviously it is just intent until it's been agreed. And I don't think it's in the royal family's interest to keep anybody in the royal family that, in the working royal family that don't want to be there. I don't think that's in the interest of the royal family. Likewise, I do think it will be a great loss. I think Harry and Meghan will be an enormous loss to the royal family and the nation. If they do literally reduce everything that they do on behalf of the nation. Will some kind of happy compromise be felt? We don't know. We really, really do not know. I'm going to scoot all the way down to the bottom. Betsy says they are reacting to a false story, but there is no specific information about what it said. Well, you could obviously, I'm sure we can all find the story. Wouldn't it be better to just ignore false stories rather than calling attention to them? Generally, I would say so. And generally, that is what the royal family traditionally do. They don't normally comment on false stories. But in the interests of what is going on, the bigger picture, in context of the moment, I think both brothers were very, very conscious to make it, to put that kind of false story to bed. And that's what they've done today. It was a joint statement, so nobody was cajoled into releasing something they didn't want to do. It was a joint statement. They both put their names to that statement. G. Denise says they don't need the Royal Highness or any titles. Harry will always be known as Prince, and they're already a brand together. And I think that is what is potentially harmful for the monarchy. It's capitalising on a brand, which is not necessarily done unless you're doing said work for the benefit of the nation. You don't normally do as a royal, brand work for yourself. Now, there has been lots of talk about other royals. I think Prince Michael of Kent has been mentioned, Beatrice and Eugenie, and of course Zara and Peter Phillips. Now, I've talked at length about the differences between Zara and Peter and Beatrice and Eugenie. I've done that to death, literally, in my other videos. So if you want to hear me talk about that, go over there, watch those videos. But more recently, I've been hearing comparisons to Prince Michael of Kent, Prince and Princess Michael of Kent. Now, we know Princess Michael of Kent has had books out. She's an author. She hasn't done any, exposés or anything. She's written fiction books, and they are able to make their own money. Up until about, 5, 6, 7 years ago, they had a grace and favour home. Prince Michael of Kent has performed work on behalf of the Queen, but basically they pretty much don't do anything. They don't really do any. They are not like the other cousins of the Queen that do actually go out and do duties on behalf of the monarchy. Prince and Princess Michael of Kent do not do duties on behalf of the Queen. If they do, it is the very, very odd, rare, occasional one that may crop up from time to time. We'll see them on family occasions like Trooping the Colour, but they don't do any work on behalf of the Queen. They are not classed as working royals, either full-time or part-time. They do now pay rent on their home at Kensington Palace, so I think that's not really a comparison. They have their titles, but they are able to make money. But like I say, it's not in the same kind of way. I think, they're not doing movies, they're not doing exposés. It's still very carefully considered what they do. But no, I feel that is not a very fair comparison. I think what's a better comparison is, will it be a Beatrice Eugenie type model, of which the palace is going to kind of try and get Harry and Meghan to agree to? Or will it be something more akin to Zara and Peter? Or will it be something completely new and innovative and progressive? At this point, we really do not know. Rosemary says, the Sussex Royal Foundation has just registered a limited company to run bars and cafes. Again, when it came to all of the Sussex Royal, the information that we had about what they were trying to protect under the Sussex Royal brand, at the time that came out, none of this stepping back from all duties was actually out there. So I thought that was all about protecting the Sussex royal name to stop other people from doing things under the Sussex royal name, like t-shirts, books, bars, magazines, newspapers, all the rest of it, stationery. Since all of this, people have been saying it's because Harry and Meghan want to do those things themselves. Again, I'm still probably thinking that they aren't going to want to be, having their name associated with merchandising for t-shirts and all that kind of thing. So I still think that they are trying to just protect their name from other people doing that and capitalizing. I don't think we're going to be seeing a Sussex Royal t-shirt with Harry and Meghan on. I think we are a huge I think there's a huge gap between reality and that. But again, who knows? We are in uncharted waters. We do not know what the intentions are. Yes, and we've also seen. I know Chris is commenting on the voiceover role. Harry was most definitely in that clip that's been doing the rounds. Harry was indeed, asking for a voiceover role for Meghan. Now, again, at the time, could that have been just to kind of satisfy a little bit maybe of the acting bug? I mean, I'm sure that Meghan does miss acting. I mean, that was her career. She loves to act and perform. So perhaps Harry was trying to be, a good husband and just trying to get her a little bit of a role just to satisfy that little bit of a, acting bug that I'm sure exists, in most performers out there. However, any money earned on that at the time would probably likely have been donated to a charity or maybe to the Sussex Royal Foundation, something like that. Now, any commercial activity gained from any voiceovers or anything like that could necessarily be kept for themselves, depending upon what's decided today at the Sandringham summit. Amanda says voiceover isn't exactly acting. It is! It's voice acting. Of course it is. Of course it's acting. Marjorie says, what time does the sit down happen? We believe it's already started and we believe it will go on till at least 5 o'clock. UK time. Right, I'm not going to read lots of articles because there's so many, but I am going to look in front of me at a series of headlines and I'm going to just kind of comment on them. So the one headline I'm looking at is showing photographs of Philip being driven away from the main Sandringham house. I've kind of touched on that. Again, we have Piers Morgan making comments. I'm not going to read that. We have a story on Catherine staying at home. So Catherine has been seen doing the school run. She's been photographed this morning. So we know that Catherine is not actually at the main Sandringham house. So that's we know that Catherine is not there. We think it's going to be the Queen and one of her aides, Charles, one of his aides, William, one of his aides, and Harry with one of his aides, and possibly Meghan via phone or Skype or some kind of link. There's another story about the Home Secretary of the UK, Priti Patel, who has been discussing people putting to her about the racist British press. So there's comments from her on there. I think she commented that anyone from any background can get on in life in Britain. So there's that story if people want to find it and read it. We've got a story about Charles putting more money than the 2.4 million that's been estimated that he contributes to the Sussexes. Apparently, again, we don't know if this is true, but apparently he contributed a big lump sum of money to furnish Frogmore Cottage. Again, I will say we don't know if that is true or not. We have the story, obviously, on the joint statement from Harry and William about the bullying. There is a whole slew of stories, and it's only going to carry on until we actually get some kind of concrete information from the royal family about what's being decided. Will I be on tonight for discussions? If something happens, yes, I will pop on. If we get any further information that is actual real information, I will be on and we will discuss it. Betsy Herman says the Queen is brilliant and has so much experience of troubled sibling interactions in the royal family. I'm hoping that things will get sorted. I really, really am. Christina says the voice-over thing could have been doctored or edited. It looked real to me. I mean, I've seen it. It did look real. But obviously, if it was for the money to go to charity or whatever, I actually don't think people would mind whatsoever if Meghan did a voiceover. I mean, it's no big deal. It's a voiceover. And if the money, was going to charity or that kind of thing, I don't think anyone would have any problems with that. Kelly says it's a big mess. At present, it most definitely is a big mess. Bella says, do you mean legal representation when you say AIDS? No. I mean Palace AIDS, but they will have taken legal advice. Apparently there's going to be a whole list of things presented, a lot of issues on the table, like, immigration, tax, security, financing, everything will be on the table. And I think it is going to be a set of hard negotiations. But let's not forget, it's still family. It's a weird situation because it's like almost tough business talks, but it's with your own family. That's not normally how families would interact with each other. So the one thing I do hope that comes out of all of this is better communication between the royal family, because I think it's become quite apparent that communication has been lacking between, I think, everybody. So I'm hoping that, communication will improve. Anne RC says, what if I'm unable to follow in the missing... Oh, I don't know. I haven't seen any missing rings on the day she returned to Canada. Has there been photographs? I haven't seen any. Let's have a look. Becky says, I agree with the communication breakdown. Right, I'm going to leave it here because otherwise we are literally going to just keep going rounds and in circles and circles of speculation. The main point we need to know is that these Sandringham talks are going on right now. They are not over yet. As far as I'm aware, since I've been live, we haven't had any leaked information about what's actually being decided. As soon as anything comes my way, I will, of course, let you know. As I've said, by the way, thank you so much if you subscribed to my new channel, Steps of Sussex. I now have over 1,000 subscribers, which means that I can actually do live chats and live streams on that channel. So as soon as we start having, more and more things happening where I need a bit of an overspill channel because things may get too congested here on this channel, I will start using that feature. So do make sure that you are subscribed to Steps of Sussex. I will put the link in the description below as soon as I go off now. So, if you don't want to miss anything, because I won't put everything on this channel, some things will go on there, do make sure you are subscribed. There are a couple of videos on there already, just a few introductory ones. So, go and subscribe, and thank you if you have, because like I said, I can now do live streaming on it, so that's brilliant, so thank you. Right, if you've enjoyed this video, please give it a big old thumbs up. Don't forget to share on social media, and also do hit that bell so that you know whenever I upload or make a new video, go live, whatever. So from me in Shropshire, mwah, to you all, and goodbye.